Hello and welcome once again to Let's Start Cooking. I'm Wayne, and today we're going to make a chocolate souffle. I know a lot of people get intimidated when they mention chocolate souffle or any souffle, but it's really not that hard. It's not a whole lot of ingredients, and we're going to start from the very basics and we're going to work our way through this together. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take, I have 4 ounces of bittersweet chocolate. And what you want to make sure is, you want to make sure that when you grab your chocolate, that you have 60 to 65% when it comes to cocoa. And all we did was just take it and we break it up, makes it a little bit easier. And we're just going to take this and we're going to take a 1/4 cup, 4 tablespoons of regular butter, unsalted butter, and we're just going to cut it up a little bit just to make it a little bit easier. And I did soften this a little bit. Now you can do this over a pot of water. You can do this in the microwave. You just want to melt this up, and the only reason we cut it up is to make it a little bit easier. But all we're going to do is we're going to heat this up in the microwave to melt this down. So we'll get this in the microwave. Once you get to this point with your chocolate, when you're melting chocolate in the microwave, you only want to do it for about 10-15 seconds at a time, because what's going to happen is it's going to look like it's not melting, and then all of a sudden it's going to really start to melt. So when you get to this point here where you still see chunks, you can actually stop and just keep mixing, and this is going to melt on its own because this chocolate's already nice and warm, and we don't want to end up starting to boil the chocolate in the microwave. So we're just going to let this melt. We're going to let this melt down. Once this melts, we're going to set this aside, and we're going to let this cool down for about 5 or 10 minutes. Because again, we're going to add eggs to this, and we don't want to scramble eggs. Nice and smoothed out, and it's all melted. We're going to take this, and we're just going to set this to the side for now. And we're going to prepare our ramekin dishes. And you can pick these up at Walmart or any big box store. I think they're like $3 a piece. You can even buy them online if you want. But all we're going to do is we're going to take softened butter. You can use a brush. If you don't have a brush, you can use a paper towel. You can even use your fingers if they're clean. And we're just going to coat the inside of these dishes with butter. And make sure that we get it all over. And when you do the sides, you want to try to go up with the sides. This way it's going to help with the souffle to rise. But we want to make sure we get this all over. And I'm going to do one. And then you don't have to sit here and watch me do every one of them, but I'm going to do one real quick to show you. Once we get these all nice and covered, and we make sure that we have every part of it covered, what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and we're going to take a little bit of sugar, and we're just going to add sugar right to the bottom of this, and we're just going to take it, and we're going to make sure that we're all the way around, and we're going to coat the entire inside of this with sugar, and make sure that we get every part of it covered. And we're going to dump out the excess. But we just want to make sure that we have everything inside covered with sugar. And we're going to do that to all 4 of these. So we'll get these done, and then we'll be right back. Once we get all 4 of these coated in sugar and butter, what we're going to do is we're going to set these aside, and we're going to work on the rest of it now. And what we're going to do is we're going to take our egg whites, and I have 3 eggs that I separated, whites and yolks, and I'm going to take my egg whites, and we're just going to put these right into our mixer here. And we're going to add our cream of tartar. And our salt. And we're going to mix this up. We're going to start out on low, just because we don't want to go throwing everything all around. And we're going to mix this, turn it up to medium high, and we're going to whip this till we get nice soft peaks. Once we get to this point, what we're going to do is we're going to add our vanilla. We're going to let this run. And we're going to slowly add our sugar until we get nice stiff peaks. It takes about 2 minutes. And you want to be careful. You don't want to go too far If you go too far with this, it's going to do what's called as break. Once it breaks, it's going to make it really hard. You might have to start over. But what we want is we want nice, shiny, nice stiff peaks. And when I say stiff, it doesn't mean that they're going to stick straight up. You just want them, you'll see when I get done. I'll show you what a stiff peak actually looks like. But we're going to add this little by little. And once we get that all done, we're going to go now until we get those stiff peaks showing. Once we get to this point, this is what they're talking about when they say a stiff peak. As you can see, it's not going to fall off of the spoon. You got to actually shake it off. You see how it holds its shape? If we went a little bit further than that, what's going to happen is it breaks, and it just means it starts to separate. And once it does that, it's a real pain to try to get to work with it. So that's about all the further we want to go with this. So what we want to do now is we're going to take this and we're just going to take it off for a second. And now that our chocolate has cooled down, what we want to do now is we're going to take our eggs into our cooled chocolate, and we're going to put our eggs right into our chocolate. And we're going to whisk them together. And as of right now, we don't have to be too careful, but this is also why I used a bigger bowl, because I want to eventually, once I get all this nice and folded in and mixed in, I'm going to fold our whipped cream right into our chocolate. And that's why you want to make sure you have a big enough bowl. We're going to take our whipped cream that we just whipped, and we're going to take it. We're going to only put about 1/3 of this in to start with. And all we want to do is fold this in, scraping the bottom, coming around. Because we just put all that air into our whipped cream, and the last thing we want to do is we don't want to beat the heck out of it and just knock all the air back out. So we're just going to put all this in like this, mix this up. And you don't have to be real gentle with it, but you don't want to basically beat it up again. And you'll see it's starting to change color. So once we get to that point, we're going to add a little bit more in. And we're going to do this until we get all this incorporated in. And at this point, what you're going to want to do while you're mixing this up is you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and you're going to set your bottom rack as low as it'll go in your oven. And we're just going to get this mixed up, and now that we see it like that, we're going to add the rest of our whipped cream. I'm just going to add that. Like I said, it's not a hard recipe. There's some mistakes that can be made, especially when it comes to the whipped cream. You know, if you mix it a little bit, but it's nothing that's the end of the world. Now, I will give you a heads up if you're making this. If you're going to make this for more than four people, it does use a lot of eggs. So just be prepared that, you know, it's going to call for anywhere between 6 to 8, depending on how many people you want to feed with this. And once we get it to where we don't see any streaks of white, which is about where we're at right now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our ramekins. And we're going to fill each ramekin up. And what I like to use, makes it a little bit easier to make sure that we get them all even, I like to use a regular ice cream scooper. And then that way we can make sure we get most of it all filled completely the same. So we're just going to take it. I'm just going to scoop them in. And you see how nice and fluffy the mixture is? That's what you want, because there's a lot of air in a souffle. That's why you always see a joke on TV when somebody's making one, and go, oh, my souffle fell. Well, there's a lot of air in it. Now the only thing is that when you make these, you want to make these so they're ready to serve almost immediately, because these will start to go down as they start to cool off or as they sit too long. These are something that's made that you want to eat these pretty soon as they come out of the oven. So we'll get these filled up. Now once you have them full, if you're using a smaller ramekin dish, what you normally would do to ensure that you're going to puff up nice, you take your finger and you just go right around the edge, about a 1/4 inch down. And then that way that assures that it doesn't stick to the sides. But since we didn't fill, we're using bigger dishes, we don't have to worry about that. They'll rise right up and it'll go over the top of the dish. Once our oven comes up to temperature, which is 400 degrees, what we want to do is we're going to immediately turn the temperature down to 375 and put these on the lowest rack setting that we can in our oven. And we're going to bake these for about 13 to 17 minutes. What we want to do is we want to make sure that they puff up nice and high, and we're going to just leave them in there for about 13 minutes before we start checking them, and we're not going to open up the door. So we'll just get these in the oven, we'll let them bake now. While we're waiting for our soufflés to get done in the oven, what we're going to do now is we're going to work on our whipped cream topping and our chocolate sauce. So again, just like we did the whipped cream for this soufflé, we're going to do the same thing now for this. We're just going to add our heavy whipping cream. Now we used eggs to make our soufflé, and we used egg whites, but now we actually want to make a good dessert whipping cream. We're going to take our sugar. We're going to take our vanilla. And again, I'll have all the ingredients listed in the description of the video. But all we're going to do now is we're just going to whip this up till we get nice stiff peaks again. And we're going to set this to the side so when our soufflés are done, we can put this on the topping. Once we have our whipped cream nice and whipped, and we got our nice stiff peaks, what we're going to do is we're going to set this aside now. And we're going to start on our chocolate sauce for the topping. And what we have here is we have, again, heavy whipping cream. We have some bittersweet chocolate chips, or semi-sweet, depending on your taste. We have a little bit of sugar and some vanilla. Now, if you didn't let your cream get to room temperature, you can stick this in the microwave for about maybe 5-10 seconds at the most. We just want to warm this up. It makes it a lot easier when we melt the chocolate into it. So we're just going to get this in the microwave for about 5-10 seconds, and then we're going to add everything together and mix it up. Now we warmed our cream up just a little bit because we're going to put it back in. We just don't want it ice cold when we dump everything else in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our vanilla, we're going to add it right to our cream, we're going to add our sugar, and we're going to add our chocolate chips. I'm just going to give that a light stir for now, just to get everything a little bit mixed up. And we're just going to put this in the microwave. Like I said, we're going to do this 5 or 10 seconds at a time. We just want this cream to warm up enough to melt the chocolate. While we're waiting for the soufflé in the oven, I'd like to take this time to ask you to like and share our video with other people and subscribe to our channel. If you're watching me for even a minute and you get something out of it you might not have known, or you just want to watch, just hit that share button and like us and subscribe to our channel. I would greatly appreciate it. We are back. We've had these in the oven for about 15 minutes. Now they're still really hot, so we're gonna let them cool down just a little bit that we can handle them. But as you can see, and you can get a nice close up here if you don't mind. But as you can see how they rose up real nice and high over the dish, they are gonna start to go down as they cool. And I don't mean like immediately, but we wanna let them cool down enough that we can at least handle them, so we can put our chocolate coating on it and we can put some nice whipped cream on this. So we'll let these cool down just a little bit that I can handle one, and we'll move it over. Now normally I'd let these cool off a little bit longer, but we want to show you what we have to do to these now. This is something that you're going to want to serve almost, right away. Don't let these sit for like a half hour to an hour and then think you're going to serve them. You want to get these out of the oven, let them cool down enough that you can handle them. And we're going to just take our chocolate sauce that we made. And you can do this any way you want now with this. You can either just drizzle this on, you can let it run down over the dish if you want. You can do anything you want with this now. Put as much on as you want, or a little, whatever you want to do. But remember, this is chocolate above chocolate. And now we're just going to take some of that nice whipped cream that we made, And we're just gonna put a nice dollop right on the top. Yeah, you know what, we'll give it a little bit more. I know it seems intimidating to make it when you hear somebody say souffle. It's really not, as you can see. And we're just gonna go right here. We're gonna go in the front. And you can see how soft it is. It's hot. It's real soft, just like a cloud. It basically just disappears in your mouth. It's that soft and fluffy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you like and share with your friends. And leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Or just say hi. And I'll see you Sunday.